All right, I'm talking to the camera now. Mikey, we're recording, so this is where the editing will begin. And we've got Bill here. We're not going to use any last names. And Bill's going to be telling us a little story. And this is Tony. Go ahead, Bill. Tell me a story.
Hi, I was a team leader with the 1st Cavs Lurks, H Company's 75th Range Regiment. And in March of '68, we were operating up in I-Corps in Vietnam. And I was called in for a hurry-up mission. I call it a hurry-up mission because generally we had 3 days to prepare for a mission. And this particular day I was called in at 11 o'clock by the company commander. He put me on an overflight up to Quang Tri, and we flew over the area that I'd be inserted in, and then came back, suited up, rucked up, and away we went. We were inserted about 3 o'clock that afternoon. This is a 6-man reconnaissance team. This area was the same area that Bernard Fall, French author, wrote about in The Street Without Joy. When we hit, the gunship started firing, which was completely against protocol. We were not in any contact, but they were prepping our LZ for us, and they were not supposed to. So I called for extraction, and Gooding, our commander, said no. To continue the mission, my front scout was a gentleman by the name of Little John, and I'm told not to use last names, so I won't. He came to a creek within 3 minutes of insertion, and there were sandal tracks going across the creek, and water was still seeping into them. So that meant we had the enemy right ahead of us. We followed them, couldn't close the gap on them, and as it was getting dark, we got on a hillside beside the trail and set up. Next morning, we got up, cooking our rations, and all of a sudden, here came 3 North Vietnamese within 30 feet of us. They didn't smell our cook fires, they didn't see us, and they kept on going. I called in helicopter gunships. They fired the area up with no results. Don't know if we got them or not. The mission was to monitor a trail system near the village of Mishan. So we started for that trail. Now I had a guy for my assistant team leader by the name of Don, and Don had 12 days to go in country. And my assistant team leader, Richard, had just gone home, so I got Don to come as my assistant. He didn't like it. I had a bad reputation of getting in firefights, and he made me promise I wouldn't get us into one. Well, Don wanted to go follow the Mishan River up to the jungle and then come around to the trail system. I elected to go across a huge, flat, open expanse of shrub. And Don said, I'm not going across that open area. Of course, we were whispering. I said, well, Don, if you don't go, you're going to be here by yourself because I'm fixing to take the team across there. No, I'm not going. Well, I said, goodbye, and we started to cross. Got about 100 yards out there, and here came Don. He caught up with us. And he said something to the effect of, I was crazy. Well, we made it all the way across, no snipers, no contact, no problem. And we found a North Vietnamese donut anti-aircraft position, and we got in there and took a break and ate our noonday ration. And then we started to where I was going to overlook the trail. We got to that position, and I discovered I had left a bandolier of M79 rounds where we had overlooked the trail in the anti-aircraft position. So I went by myself to that position, picked up the bandolier of ammo and came back. We were setting up, overlooking the trail, getting claymores out, and my assistant, my medic, Tom, said, "Look at that gook." And I looked down the trail, and there was the biggest rabbit I'd ever seen. And I said, "Tom, that's not a gook, that's a rabbit." He said, "Look about 50 feet beyond the rabbit." And I did, and there was a North Vietnamese checking out the trail, looking both ways. He crossed, and then 4 more crossed behind him, North Vietnamese recon team. And they worked their way through the hills and came within about 50 or 60 feet of us. And we fired them up with helicopters and do not know the results on those. So we're into our second night, and we've got an awful lot of activity in the area of operations. And I'm nervous, they gotta know we're there. So I set up a guard schedule, and I would stay up until midnight, and then the others would take their turns, and right before daybreak, and I would take that turn. Because if we got hit, we were gonna get hit around midnight or at daybreak. So everybody calmed down and went to sleep. I was up. I made it to midnight, and I woke Van Hook up, and I sat up with him for a while, and then I went to sleep. And about 20 minutes after I got to sleep, Van Hook put his, Don put his hand over my mouth and was shaking me. He said, "There are gooks out there, they're talking." And I sat up and I listened, I had my hands on claymore, and I didn't hear anything. And I said, "Hook, you're nervous, man, you're shaky. There's nobody out there, leave me alone, I gotta get some sleep." So I went back to sleep. 20 minutes later, Hook was back at me, shaking. "The gooks out there, they're talking, I can hear them." I sat up again, and nobody out there. I told him, I said, "Hook, you're shaking, man, leave me alone, there's nobody out there. You finish your guard up and wake up the next man." Went back to sleep. About 20 minutes later, Hook's shaking me again. He says, "Hand, you son of a bitch, you're talking Vietnamese in your sleep." Anyway, we made it through the night, and it wasn't any activity. Next day, about mid-morning, Tom stood up in waist-high brush and said, "Gooks," and here came 5 gooks down the trail. And they saw Tom, and they pointed at him, and I said, "Oh, Christ, here we go." I was carrying a car 15. Would have given anything to have had the device that we're pushing now. But anyway, I put it on panic, and I let go. Not realizing that I'd fired so many tracers through it at night that I'd burned out the barrel. And my first 20-round burst had a circle on it of about 6 feet of the tracer going out in a 6-foot circle. I managed to hit one of them, but they were a good way off, and we called artillery, and we got all of them. And there were 10 more behind them, and we got those too. Had a deal worked out with company commander called Zebra. If I called in Zebra, they would bring us out 6 new rucksacks, and we would continue the mission. Well, he wasn't in the base camp when all this went down. So the first of the night came in and extracted us.
Good. They're rolling.
That's it.
That's it?
The joke was, I was talking in my sleep. Oh, I hate that happening.
That's your boy.
No, that's Robert. No, it is my boy.
It's a hand.
Todd, you just interrupted a commercial. Feel real good about yourself.